My name is Myrtle and currently I'm the General Secretary of South African Domestic Workers Union, and I'm also privileged and honored to lead domestic workers within the International Domestic Workers Federation in the world. And mainly we concentrate on educating domestic workers about their rights as women and their rights as workers. A new wage was announced for domestic workers, and something went through my mind, and it's like, what is the value of a domestic worker? So it's a question we should ask society, it's a question we should ask our Department of Labor. When you sit down and you talk about domestic workers, when you look at the domestic workers' wage, what do you base it upon? What do you say, how do we justify a wage for domestic workers? Even an employer and a domestic worker should start sitting down. An employer must look in a different way to the domestic. We say, let's talk about what is your role here and what do I play in making your role much better, or how do I compensate you for what you're doing? Am I fair to you? Do I pay you enough? And I think we would actually have some shocking results, because employers will only then realize the value. And you yourself as a domestic worker, for the first time you will look at yourself and say, wow, I didn't know this is what I do in one day, this is what I do maybe on a weekend. And then what we should take, we take that value or my worth, and we look at it as people are looking today, put it into rands, and we will discuss. I think we will be shocked. And at the end of the month, I should maybe get the same as a secretary, as somebody, a personal assistant. But because in South Africa and society is still just looking at me as somebody cleaning somebody else's house or doing something that somebody else don't want to do. And I think we need to change that role, and we need to say, we're saying in the world domestic work is decent work, but now how do we add value to that decent work? So I think maybe we should start something about, call it a revolution, on what is my value, what am I worth. And I think in a year's time we will come up with a different wage for domestic workers. We will look at domestic workers with a different view. Also, if we look at domestic workers, the Department of Labor want to justify and say it is the current inflation rate. Did we look at bus fare? Did we look at clothing? Did we look at expenses? We were also very shocked a couple of months ago when we had to do a survey, when we find domestic workers live on borrowing money. And that institution is also enriching themselves, because at the end of the month, my whole salary go to that institution, they borrow me more money. At the end of the month, when I get my bonus, end of the year, I have to pay them half of my bonus. What do I take to my family? We need to look at, they call it a revival, we need to review domestic workers and their worth and their value.